So to capture a file to Neat, you're going to click the capture menu here and you're going to click take a photo instead. And before we capture anything, there are a few settings I want to call out. So if you need to use your phone's flash for any reason, if you're in a low light environment, you can toggle flash on by clicking this little light bulb button at the bottom. It's kind of hard to tell on my camera, but it does add, as you can see, it brightens up my page quite a bit here. Now, I have set up for you guys a bunch of files that we can capture today. I don't think we'll capture all of them, but we'll capture definitely a few of them. The other setting that I want to call out is the auto versus manual capture. So right now I have auto capture toggled off, meaning I have manual capture enabled. What that means is in order for me to capture anything using my mobile phone's camera, I need to actually physically click this capture button down here, which is fine. And that's, a perfectly fine way to capture files. But you also have auto capture that you can enable. And auto capture, when enabled, will allow you to capture a file without clicking any buttons. Basically, all you'll need to do is point your camera at the file you want to capture. Neat will detect the four sides of the file that you're trying to capture and will automatically capture it for you and automatically crop it for you. So let me show you a demonstration between manual and auto capture now. So I'm actually just going to move a couple of these files and we're just going to look at this Neat invoice for now. Just going to move all of these over to my left. And we have my Neat invoice here. Now, another tip is that you want to make sure when you're doing a capture that you're capturing, especially when you're using auto capture, you want to make sure that you're using a contrasting background behind your file. Well, the reason for that is because it's going to make it much easier for Neat to detect the four sides of your file and auto crop the file for you. So right now, I've lined up my file and I'm actually manually clicking capture right now. And Neat is going to capture that file. And again, because I'm using a slightly darker background, Neat was able to identify the four sides and auto crop this for me, even though I don't have auto capture enabled. If I needed to, you could click on the file and you can edit the file before you upload it to Neat. So you can rotate your file image if you need to, and you can also further crop your image if you needed to as well, all within the mobile application. I'm going to click cancel though. Clicking replace up at the top left-hand corner will allow you to retake the image if your image is blurry or you want to get a better image, or if you just messed up taking your image. So I'm going to click replace, and this time we're going to capture the file using auto capture. So I'm going to line my file up, and I'm just going to turn auto capture on. And you can see Neat detected the four sides of my file. It kind of highlighted it in that green color. And auto captured this file for me, and we can see that it auto cropped it for me as well. So I can go in and notice again, Neat has, remembered some of my recent settings. So right now, we have it set to receipt, which is what I want to have it as. It remembered the folder I recently uploaded this file to, but I'm actually going to change this folder. We're going to change this folder to just my webinar folder, and we'll save it there instead. I can even go in and I can, again, add details to my file. I can add a date to this. I believe the date to this was January 1st. Adding all of these details in ahead of time will reduce the amount of review time you have to do later once your files are in your needs review filter. So I'm going to add the Neat company as a vendor. We'll add the amount, which was $250. The category, we'll do yearly subscription. Adding that as well. We'll add some notes. We'll say VIP service included. And if this were reimbursable, I can mark it as reimbursable. I'm not going to mark it as reimbursable though. I'm going to click save. And now we have auto captured a file, told Neat a bunch of details about it, and we'll go ahead and we'll click save, and it's going to upload that file now. Again, this file is going to show up in my needs review filter as a processing file, and it's also going to show up in my webinar folder as well once it's finished processing. So that is capture number one. Let's talk about, and actually, let me go back to the file cabinet here. Let's talk about another way that you can launch capture within the Neat mobile application. So some of you may have been keen and to notice that there is a little camera button in all of your folders up at the top here next to sort and filter. What that little button does is it allows you to tell Neat that you want to capture or import a file directly to the folder you're already in. So right now I'm in my Neat mobile app webinar folder. We'll go there as well within the web application as well. When I click capture here, it's asking me, hey, do I want to import a file here or do I want to capture a file to here? And we're going to choose capture. And I actually have a different receipt this time that we're going to capture. So I'm just switching that out for you guys. And we have our file here. So I'm going to line this file up. I have my auto capture enabled and Neat has captured that file for me. So I can replace this. There's a little bit of dust down here causing it to detect a little bit more of the rest of my file, but I can replace it and we can see my file image has now been cropped successfully. Some of the things that we're going to notice is the item type is receipt. The folder is the folder that I had selected to upload this file to. I could go in and change this folder. You will notice that Neat does save recent destinations that you've selected to import and capture files to. That way you don't have to always go browse through your entire cabinet every time you upload or import a file. I'm going to leave Neat mobile app selected because that's where I want to import it to. And instead of, I could fill all of these details out, but this time I'm not going to. And the reason for that is because when I upload this file to Neat, it is going to go through all of the OCR processing and Neat verification during its initial upload. And during that time, Neat is going to try to extract key information from my file, like dates and vendors and amounts and things like that. So we're just going to leave it like that and click save. And now this file is going to upload and it's going to end up in my needs review filter. And we can see there it is processing. And I'm actually just going to clear a few of these files out of my needs review filter. I'm doing that by selecting all the ones that I want to clear. I'm going to bulk edit them and I'm going to mark them as reviewed and next. And all of these will now be bulk edited as reviewed. In the mobile application, we can see now as well that this receipt is currently processing. If I were to open it, we're not going to get any details though, because it's still processing. So we're just going to give it a time to do that because we wanted to try to extract information from the file. We'll let that process for now as we move on to our next capture. So going back to the capture here and taking a photo, I'm going to turn auto capture off for a second. So this is a pretty small receipt. It's very, very tiny here. I can fit everything and I can really see a lot of the text really good up close. But what if you have a receipt that is not so tiny? Like I have this Target receipt that is, as you can see, much longer than the receipt that I just captured for the 5-4 bar and grill. As you have larger or longer receipts, you have to move further away from the receipt in order to get the entirety of the receipt in there. So what can you do to, kind of make it so that you can still get all of the integrity of the text on your receipt? One of the things that I recommend doing and our customers do is folding out or cutting off or ripping off sections of the app of your receipt that is not needed for file keeping purposes. For example, the top of this Target receipt here is basically just a logo and a bunch of white space up here, which is not needed for record keeping purposes. So what I can do is I can just fold this back or rip it off or cut it off if I don't want it. And now we're starting with all of the important information about when and where I made my purchase. Same thing with the bottom of my receipt. At the bottom of my receipt, I have details like how much I saved and like what I can do if I need to exchange or return a file. Not anything that is necessary for file keeping purposes. So what I could do is I could fold that back or rip that off, and now I have a much shorter receipt that I can get closer to, and I can still see all of this great text here about the items that I purchased. So we're going to move this out of the way. We're going to capture this item also. I'm going to enable auto capture, and it's going to automatically detect my file. And there it is. And I can go ahead and I can just click save, and Neat is going to, extract information from that file and upload it to that folder. We can see our 5.4 bar and grill was successfully uploaded, and we can see that Neat successfully parsed the vendor from it, the date, the payment type, and the amount from it. It even categorized my file correctly as a meals or restaurant receipt. So I can, I'm in here, I'm reviewing my file, I'm making sure it's categorized, I'm making sure it's in the right folder. I can save it, and it is, it's all filed away and organized. So I have one last tip for you guys when it comes to capturing files. Let's say, for example, let me take a photo again. Let me open up my camera here. We'll turn auto capture off again. Let's say, for example, you have a bunch of files. So I have like a stack of papers here to capture. I have one 3-page document in here, an invoice, another document, and 2 receipts. So if you have, I could capture all of these files one by one and upload them one by one. Or to streamline that capture process, what I can do is actually capture all of these files as one document upload from the mobile application. And then, just like with importing, use the separate feature to separate my files into individual files within my database, which will allow me to, again, streamline the capture process and utilize some other tools in Neat to easily organize those files away. So let me show you an example of that. Bear with me, this is going to take just a moment as we go through and recapture a bunch of these files. And I'm going to turn auto capture on to do this. So we have, see, auto capture works so quick sometimes that you need to be ready, because it'll detect the size of a file so quickly. So we have one capture. I could go in here and I can crop and rotate this if I wanted to. I'm going to set up my next file. Just bear with me. Whoop, drop in my phone. We have our next file here. And what I'm going to do to make this a multi-page upload is just click Add Page here. And we're going to capture the next file. And now we can see I have 2 pages here in my uploads. And if I swipe left or right, we can see those 2 individual captures. And I can edit each one of them, separately. I'm going to set up my next document. We have the Neat invoice that we captured earlier. I'm going to click Add Page, capture it. And now I'm just going to quickly go through them. So we have a W-2 here. It's not a real W-2. There we are. And lastly, I have a 3-page document to upload. So we have page number 1. I could go in here and I could edit this if I wanted to, or I could replace it with another capture if I want to. Add another page. It's just page 2 of this 3-page document. And I'm not even going to worry about that one. And we'll do our last page. Got this one here. And there we go. All right. So as I swipe through, we can see I have, all 7 pages, all 7 files here that I've captured. We have 2 receipts, an invoice, and 2 documents that are, one's a 3-page document. I can, set the item type. The item type I can leave as receipt for now because I want Neat to be able to extract key information from some of my files. We're going to leave the folder as my Neat mobile application folder. And I'm actually going to leave all of these other details blank, and we'll click save. And now Neat is going to upload all 7 files as a single upload. And that's going to show up in my needs review filter here in a moment. And if we go over to the Neat web app folder where I uploaded my file, we can see my 7-page document is here. So here's all 7 pages. Like I said, a couple of them are receipts. One's an invoice, a document, and then a 3-page document. So what I can do now is, again, I can click separate, and I can separate these 7 pages into the 6 different documents I need them to be. So we'll separate these two and this one. And then we have a 3-page document here. And then I'll click next step. The first one needs to be a receipt. The second one's also a receipt. We're going to make the 3rd page an invoice, and the last 2 documents. And again, this is going to re-add all 5 individual files back to my upload process, my initial upload process. So they're going to show up in my needs review filter like I need them to. They're going to show up in my Neat mobile app webinar folder as well once they're done processing. The receipts Neat will try to parse information from, and then can go through and categorize and file all my files away much more quickly than individually capturing all of those and uploading them individually. It's really kind of it's up to you, really. This is an option that you have to streamline the capture process, but it might not be for you. So that might be something you want to try to incorporate into your capture process to streamline that.